Hello and welcome to the Mark Goldbridge channel. We're talking Jose Mourinho and how or what is he doing wrong and how does he get it right. I hope you've all been onto the United stand and watched Devils Know Best. Fresh over from that. Really enjoyed it. But we're here to talk about Manchester United. We're here to talk about Jose Mourinho. And what has Jose Mourinho done? You know what, actually, I don't really think he's done a hell of a lot wrong. I don't need that in my earpiece. Leftovers from the Devils Know Best. But Jose Mourinho, what is he doing right? What is he doing wrong at Manchester United? You could say he's not doing a hell of a lot wrong. 6 months to solve problems of the last 3 years isn't very long. Klopp at Liverpool is only just solving the problems and getting Liverpool, and they still had a bad month, and he's been there for well over a year. So judging that, I know a lot of people will say, well, look at the money Jose Mourinho has spent, and I certainly think there are a couple of mistakes that he could do with ironing out, but we're still in the League Cup. We're in the League Cup final. You can sort of see why he took the League Cup so serious, because you see a result like Hull last night and we might not even get top four, and I think quite cute of him to take the League Cup so seriously with a strong team, to get a trophy on board in case everything does fall apart. So League Cup final to come, probably going to win that with Van Dijk out for 3 months. We're still in the FA Cup, good chance of getting into the quarterfinals if we beat Blackburn away. Europa League, can we win that? We'll talk about that in a few minutes' time. And obviously the league, well, we should have been 3 points off second place. We're 5 points off. 5 points at the start of February can still be done. But as I said last night, I've sort of lost trust in Manchester United. And that's not a bad thing to say. It's just that, you know, before the game last night, many of us were like, there's no way we're not going to beat Hull City, not with the results of the way they've gone the night before. They won't blow this opportunity because having blown so many before, the players will turn up. They're not going to let us down, and they let us down. So it just means for me at the moment, until we get some consistency and start playing really well again and start putting the ball in the back of the net, I don't really trust us. We probably should beat Leicester away on the weekend. We probably should beat Bournemouth and Watford at home the next 2 league games after that. We should have 9 points from those games, but I'm not going to say that we're going to get 6, because I just don't trust them at the moment. Until the players start performing and the manager starts making the right decisions, I think every Manchester United fan's got a right to say, well, yeah, we should win that game, but God knows whether we will. Stoke, Burnley, Arsenal, West Ham, Everton, Stoke again, Hull, you could even say Liverpool. That's 8 draws, and we should have won at least 7 of them. That's 14 points. 14 points because of players dropped, because players are not turning up in a Manchester United shirt. They're not clinical enough. They're lazy in front of goal. And that, you can blame the players, but surely some of that comes back to the manager. We've been putting stuff out today on Twitter, asking a lot of questions. That's what we do on @UnitedStand MUFC, so do follow us and get involved in the debate. But one of the things we put out was, is Jose Mourinho afraid to drop Zlatan and Pogba? Now, afraid sounds a bit demeaning, but over 70% of Manchester United fans who voted, and there was well over 2,000 votes, said yes, he is scared to drop them. And I don't think it's fear that Jose Mourinho is not a big character, because he is. He's got an ego, and you know, one positive I would say is he was clearly very annoyed last night, but I do have concerns about how he will interpret that annoyance and what he will do. But the fear of dropping Zlatan and Pogba isn't necessarily that he's not got the personality to do it. It's the fact that we know he lost the dressing room with the likes of Costa and Hazard at Chelsea. And does he want to potentially lose a dressing room again at Manchester United by dropping the big egos within the team? Pogba and Zlatan, arguably, Pogba definitely against Liverpool and maybe last night should have been taken off. But some people would say he's a top class talent, you should keep him on. Personally, I think... Are we falling into this trap that maybe the likes of Chelsea and Man City do because they're mercenary clubs, where we are allowing big signings to become bigger than the club? Ultimately, I don't really want to talk about last night too much, because I thought Pogba was poor, but I thought a lot of players were poor, and you could have subbed a lot of players. But certainly against Liverpool, I think Pogba, for what he should be doing for Manchester United, was very poor and should have been subbed off. And I think Manchester United, if Mourinho wants to be successful, he's got to put the club first, and also he's got to realise, being Manchester United, it doesn't matter who you're playing, you've got to have the best players. You've got to have the best players playing out there on the pitch. And if Pogba's not performing, but you've got players on the bench who can do better, it doesn't matter if he's the biggest signing in world football, the biggest earner at the club, the biggest ego. You've got to take him off for the better of the club and the fans, because we could have won that game yesterday. I think he got his substitutions 100% wrong. I've not heard anything about Michael Carrick being injured. Michael Carrick, in my opinion, and many Manchester United fans' opinion, was the best player on the pitch yesterday for Manchester United in the first half. He played an absolute eye of the needle 40-yard pass to Zlatan, who did a brilliant flick. Pogba's running through, he shoots at the goalkeeper. If that's put in the back of the net, we're all waxing lyrical about a fantastic pass from Carrick. Unfortunately, because Pogba doesn't finish again, we're not that pass from Carrick gets lost, and he gets substituted for Rooney. He's got to stop using Wayne Rooney. I think ultimately he's got to stop losing Wayne Rooney. I'm not scapegoating Wayne Rooney, but what does he offer for us? I know he scored that great goal against Stoke and he equalled the record, but apart from that free kick, I mean, if we'd got a free kick yesterday and he'd scored, all fine and well, but a whole half of the game where he's got no pace, he's got no real creativity, and his legs are gone. I thought we were a better team in the first half than we were in the second half, and I think let's move off Rooney, because I don't want it to be a Rooney witch hunt, because it's not. There's lots of players not performing, but I think the point I was trying to make is it's the substitutions that he's making, I think, are incorrect. Let's not forget that Mourinho, I've been quite consistent about this, his biggest mistake this season for me isn't the points we've dropped, isn't not signing anybody in January, isn't playing Fellaini as a defensive midfielder for the first 3 games of the season and ultimately losing his 6 points against City and Watford because he got overrun. It's ignoring Michael Carrick till November in the league, and in the last couple of weeks he's taken him off at half-time twice. I just don't think he likes Michael Carrick, and I don't think he gets it, even though Michael Carrick probably saved our season by coming into the team in November and is going on that fantastic run. Admittedly, he's not been as brilliant as he was in the last couple of weeks, but neither's Herrera and neither's Pogba. I mean, Herrera got a lot of stick in the second half yesterday. I thought he did well in the first half, but he never wants to sub Herrera and he never wants to sub Pogba, and he started to sub Carrick, and if you watch the second half, we lost control of the game. We weren't dictating it. I think we could have played another half and not scored last night. We really, apart from the Mata chance, which he should score but was offside, I think his substitutions leave a lot to be desired. I mean, I would have put Martial on last night. I thought the Mata for Mkhitaryan substitution was odd, and ultimately it smacked him in the face because Mata missed a sitter, but I think Mkhitaryan offers more than Mata does on the right hand side, and we ended up at the end of the day with Rooney playing on the left wing. I don't know what's going on with Martial. There's nonsense in the press saying that he refused to warm up. I've spoken to a lot of people who were at the game yesterday saying it's nonsense. He was clapping the crowd, he was warming up, he had a smile on his face. I'm sure he wasn't happy that he didn't get brought on, but if you watch that game yesterday, I think what Mourinho needs to do, he needs to be a little bit braver. I think yesterday, the big problem yesterday, and I'm not even going to highlight Pogba on this, Zlatan was the problem yesterday. I thought he did okay in the first half, but if you watch that game back, and we spoke about it at half time on the watch along, Hull City, I've not really seen teams do this, and I know Hull's new manager is quite good. He's done well at Sporting and Olympiacos, but let's not beat about the bush here. We've played Hull 4 times this season. We've scored 3 goals against the team that's in the bottom 3. We've played them 4 times and scored 3 goals. That's less than a goal a game against the team in the bottom 3, inferior to us. Their centre-backs had Zlatan in their pocket yesterday. But the most interesting thing about Hull that I've not really seen at Old Trafford and caused us massive problems, and was the big reason we didn't create many chances. 1, unable to put decent crosses into the box yet again. 2, Hull City played a very high line. We had a lot of the ball in the final third of the pitch. When you watch it back, don't watch it back, just remember it or go with what I'm saying. We had a lot of possession in the final third of the pitch, which would make you think that the defence of Hull would be in their own penalty box and we'd be putting balls in the box and shooting from distance and everything like that. But what they actually did is, we did have the ball in the final third, but it was congested within about 10 metres of their midfield, their forwards and their backline, because their backline was playing 10 metres off their penalty box. They were playing a really high line. So even though we had the ball in the final third, it was so congested into such a small space that we tried it in the second half. If you think that, and Pogba was better in the second half. Still don't think he was as good as he should be, but if you think back to the 2 balls he played over the top, Zlatan miscontrolled one, Rashford had a bad shot off the other. Because at half-time, Mourinho obviously saw what we all saw, that Hull are playing a high line, which is total and utter disrespect to Manchester United, really. To play such a high line, it's basically saying, up yours, we're not fearful of you putting the ball over the top because you haven't got anybody to hurt us. Because Zlatan He's not going to beat them for pace over the top. Yes, you've got Mkhitaryan on the right and Rashford on the left, but we weren't utilising them anyway until the second half, trying to get the ball over the top. But Hull City, they came and played a really high line, and nobody ever does that. But this is the problem with Zlatan. He then starts coming deep, the ball's just lost in the midfield, we've got no get-out ball. If we'd have played Rashford in the first half yesterday, he might not have some of the talents that Zlatan has. Of course he doesn't. But what it would have allowed Mkhitaryan to do especially is hit the ball over the top, put it into the space for Rashford to sprint onto, and straight away Hull City would have had to go back 10 yards to the edge of their penalty box, which creates a load more room in that final third for our midfield. It was too congested yesterday. But his refusal to not take Zlatan off ever makes us very easy to defend against and read, because if you are the opposition and you know we're never going to take Zlatan off, you know you can play a high line, you know you're not going to get done for pace, and you know you can keep Manchester United quite far from the ball and congest the midfield and make it very frustrating for us. Coupled into that, what I was saying before, the fact that the only option then is when you can't go over the top and they are playing a high line, the only option then is to go down the flanks, which we were trying to do with Valencia, and we did quite effectively in the first half, up until the point of putting a cross in the box, which we are unable to do. And I know a lot of people like Valencia, and he's been fantastic this season, but unfortunately he's lacking being able to put in a decent cross. Totally and utterly blunts us going down the right hand side. He gets into fantastic positions. Everything he does is right. Tackling, bombing on, getting into space, gets into loads of space, but his crossing ability is poor. Look at Schweinsteiger in the game against Wigan. One opportunity to put a cross in against the 6'7" centre-back. He takes him out of the game and Fellaini scores. There's a big difference between putting a cross into the box and putting a good cross into the box, and we haven't got enough players who can put crosses into the box. So where does Mourinho improve what Manchester United are doing at the moment? For me, we've got to be able to mix things up. We've got to be less predictable. If you know that Pogba's playing, as we said against Liverpool, press him. He always wants to hold on to the ball for too long. Press him, he gets caught in possession every week. Pogba needs to mix it up. Sometimes he's just got to get the ball and pass it quick, and that will start to get into the heads of the opposition. Because what Pogba stopped doing, and what he was doing a few weeks ago, and made him, what I said at the time, one of the best midfielders in world football. He's the only midfielder in world football I can think of who, when he's got the ball at his feet, can run past people. And if he goes past the midfielder, that opposition is suddenly a man down. Someone's got to go to him, which frees somebody else up. He stopped doing that. But what he's got to do is mix it up. Instead of holding on to the ball, he's got to just play a quick pass sometimes. We've got to mix the Zlatan position up. Maybe put Zlatan into a number 10 and put Rashford up front. You can't play Rooney, he's not got the legs. We've got to get somebody playing centrally to start pushing the centre-backs of the opposition backwards, because we're too easy to defend against. And if we played Zlatan against Blackburn, they'll be able to do that. Doesn't matter whether you're Championship or not. So we need to start mixing things up a bit. You've got to play Anthony Martial more. He's the one flair player in our team that's creative and fast. And Rashford, he's regressing this season. I love Marcus Rashford, he's one of my favourite players, but he's regressing. We've said it time and time again. He's not a winger. And yesterday, I thought he did okay through effort, not through ability. He's not a left winger. He's been played on the left wing. He's not a left winger. He's got to stop doing that. He's got to start using Juan Mata instead of Wayne Rooney, because Wayne Rooney is on the wane. Pardon the pun, but he is. He's not offering us enough. I felt we regressed in that second half yesterday compared to the first half. I thought we were far more in control of the game with Michael Carrick than we were with Herrera and Rooney and Pogba. And I think we were poor in the second half. But we've got to start mixing things up tactically, because we are too predictable. And we are too predictable because of the insistence. And he did it at Chelsea, and I'm sure he did it at Real Madrid. There are people like Drogba, Lampard and Terry that he never subbed and he always kept on because they would always get him a goal. Unfortunately, Zlatan and Pogba are not Drogba, Lampard and Terry in their prime. They're not. Pogba's at the start of his career and he needs to start to learn to do things differently and not be so predictable. Zlatan's at the end of his career. He's got no pace. Drogba was powerful and quick, and that's the difference. Zlatan's too easy to read if you play a high line. He's got to mix it up. Will he mix it up? I don't know. But I think it's really relevant that we're talking about this now, because at least we can look back in May, and if he doesn't change it, we can know that what we all said needed to be done. Whether he will do it or not, I don't know. He's got to be brave. He's got to mix it up. Maybe he should go 4-4-2 like some people said. Maybe he should go 4-4-2, put Herrera and Pogba in the midfield, put Martial and Mkhitaryan on the right and the left, and put Rashford and Zlatan up front, and let Zlatan drop into the midfield, because he can do that. I don't agree with Jose Mourinho out, by the way. Just saw somebody say we need Ancelotti, GGMU United. We don't need Ancelotti. We've got the right manager. And Mourinho, even if this season ends with us finishing outside the top four, not winning the FA Cup and not winning the Europa League, when all we've got to show is a League Cup, he won't be sacked in the summer, and he shouldn't be sacked in the summer. You've got to give him 2 years. Van Gaal had 2 years. And I think Mourinho does need 2 years. Maybe he should have used the transfer window better, I don't know. But in relation to what Manchester United are going to do this season, we are capable of beating anybody. The problem at the moment is, and I said this last night as well, we are not playing well. And we've not been playing well for a long time, but this unbeaten run, and we're still unbeaten in the Premier League over about 13 games now, is masking the fact that we're not playing well. The last time we actually played well was West Bromwich Albion away, and I think it was the 17th of December, so around the middle of December. We won games after that, but we didn't play particularly well. Boxing Day, Sunderland, we didn't really play that well. Borough at home, we were 1-0 down with 10 minutes to go, and we basically did an old United of, never say die, and we got back to 2-1 and won it really late on. That masked a bad performance, which it was. Then obviously we had the FA Cup. Then we've had Liverpool, didn't turn up. Then we've had Stoke, didn't turn up and weren't clinical enough. Then we've had Hull, bottled it again. So we've not actually been playing that well lately, especially the first team and people like Zlatan, whose the goals have dried up. We've got to find some form, and I think he's only going to find some form if he starts mixing it up. And I don't necessarily agree with what he did on Sunday, where he played a team that played really well in the second half, and then on the following Wednesday, all those form players, none of them are involved apart from Mkhitaryan. I think Schweinsteiger should have been involved. Martial definitely should have been involved. People should be allowed to build on that form, because Schweinsteiger doesn't play now. He won't play away to Leicester, so he has a good game and then he doesn't play for 2 weeks. He's starting again. It's back instead of being on like that, you stagnate and you go back down again. We've got to use the squad. We've got to mix it up. We've got to use different types of players. I wouldn't have been opposed to Lingard coming on yesterday because he's quicker than Mkhitaryan. But bringing Mata on for Mkhitaryan, it was a like-for-like substitution. If you're Hull City, you see Mkhitaryan go off and Mata come on and you think, it's the same sort of player. He's the same sort of intricate player. He's slower. I can deal with that. Whereas if Mkhitaryan comes off and Martial or Lingard come on, you think, these are explosive players. I'm getting a bit tired. This is a bit more of a problem. I thought his substitutions were a bit odd yesterday. Smalling coming on for Jones was an injured one. Rooney for Carrick at half-time. Smacked of desperation when we didn't need to do it. Carrick was fine. He was running the game. He didn't need to do it so quick. And then our third substitution used on the 60-minute mark leaves us with half an hour of the game to go. Nothing to do in that last half an hour, like last 10 minutes to go all-out attack. And if you pick up an injury, we go down to 10 men. It was really, really odd. And as I said yesterday, I'm not a Fellaini fan, but Fellaini in the last 5 minutes yesterday, just whacking the ball into the box, which is what we were doing, he would have been useful. So I don't know what's going on there. But Ryan Godwin says, should we go Europa? At least that's got us Champions League. I've heard a lot of people saying this, and I said it last night on Twitter. Why do people... We've got a better chance of finishing the top 5 than we have of winning the Europa League the way we're playing at the moment. If we go and play like we did last night in the Europa League, we won't... I know the decent teams in it are Roma, Villarreal, and they play each other, and Spurs, and there's a couple of others. But we won't get beaten by them. We'll get beaten by Saint Etienne. Saint Etienne aren't a bad French team, and European football is infinitely better than the Premier League. It's been proven over the last few years. I think we're starting to get better. But if we go and play like that, like we did against Hull City, Saint Etienne will probably beat Hull City. So we had this a couple of years ago when we got knocked out under Sir Alex and we went and played Bilbao and they played us off the park. Now, we know Bilbao are a decent team in hindsight, but there's decent teams from Turkey, there's decent teams from Portugal, there's decent teams from France, there's decent teams from Holland. Don't be arrogant to think that, we may as well go and win the Europa League. We won't win the Europa League playing like we are. European teams are tactically well drilled. I mean, the manager of Hull, he's been managing in Greece and in Portugal and done very well. He's come to Hull and he's replicated that. So it just gives you a hint of what European teams in general are like. They're well drilled. They are better tactically than British teams because it's more, it's not gung-ho. It is well drilled and they will take us apart. So I think saying winning the Europa League to get us in the Champions League, it's a nice thought. But the way we're playing at the moment, we won't win the Europa League. We may as well try and do something in the league. Leicester away, Watford and Bournemouth at home. Take 9 points from that. I still think we'll be in 6th, but we might be only 3 points off second place again. And then there are winnable games after that with Southampton and I think we've got West Brom, Borough, teams like that, Sunderland. We can still get top four, but I think saying, "Oh, let's give up on the league when we're 5 points off top four and going for the Europa League," I don't see it. I don't see it at all. Doing right? What is he doing wrong at Manchester United? You could say he's not doing a hell of a lot. Myself though, I didn't mean to that. So yeah, I don't. John Allison, Mark, that's where Fellaini was last week, swatting for tonight's quiz. Yeah, Fellaini won on the United Stand quiz, which many of you will probably be aware of. Do watch it on the United Stand, it was really good. But I'm going to take some of your comments. Stop banging, says Dr. Chunky Biscuit. Sorry, I haven't got my audio thing, and I would know if I was doing that. Right, let's get some of you lot involved, because that's what I like to do for the last 10 minutes of the show. Peter Doyle, it's too early for Jose out. Stuff, 2 years and we will see. Totally agree with you, Peter. Bring back the super sub Javier Hernandez, Giovanni. He's a divider, Giovanni. A lot of people said glad to get rid of Hernandez, but I wasn't. I think he got what Manchester United was about. He's passionate, a proper professional, and in the last 10 minutes he gets you a goal. Van Gaal was an idiot, but we knew that. Dr. Chunky Biscuit says stop banging. Yep. We should go all out for Griezmann in the summer, says Football Skills HD. I think we will get Griezmann. Obviously, I did the video last night. I do think we'll get Griezmann, but what I want to say about that is we need to go and get Champions League football to confirm that, because the rumour is that he's concerned about that, and I don't blame him being concerned. George Kyle, too many diving for a penalty as well. I'll touch on it, George. The referees, if you've been watching the watch-alongs or just watching Manchester United, we all know the referees this season have had it in. And what Mourinho said last night was right, but I think we're just numb to it as fans now, because we didn't lose the game. We didn't drop the points yesterday because of the referee. Yes, Mourinho's being victimised. Yes, United aren't getting decisions, but we didn't drop the points yesterday because of bad refereeing. If you don't score against Hull City at Old Trafford, there's something wrong with the manager and there's something wrong with the team, and that's the fact. But very quickly, I thought the referee was poor. Was it Nionzi or someone like that was in the midfield for them? He was already on a yellow card very quickly. He went through Carrick, which was another yellow card, and then he went through Blind, which I thought was a blatant red, but was definitely a second yellow. In fact, they subbed him off. He should have been sent off, and that makes a difference to the game. But would we have still broken them down? We might not have done. So I'm not saying that's not a reason, but it was another bad referee at Old Trafford, and it is every week, and it is frustrating. But I'm not going to focus on that. Ryan Godwin, Basti should play a lot more. He's still got loads to offer. Yes, he has. More than anybody else did last night in our midfield. Do you think we'll buy a left back in the summer, says GGMU? I hope Luke Shaw will get given a chance. Jay says we should sign Joe Allen. We'll move on. Jimmy Bond, we're only 4 points off top four. Yes. Are we? I thought it was 5. 5 off second, aren't we? Yeah, 4 off top four. Yeah, we could do with Hull City beating Liverpool at the weekend, but you watch what Liverpool do to Hull City and it would just be salt in the wound. Full-time Reds, I think we will buy centre-backs in the summer. Yeah, I do. If we get Europa League and we knock City or Liverpool out of the Champions League spot, says Martial, we don't. I knew this would start rearing its head. It's a little bit early. If we win the Europa League, it's a designated spot. It makes no difference on the top four. Top four is designated 4 spots. The Europa League is a designated spot. It's not England specific, it's not Spain specific. If you win the Europa League, you get into the Champions League. Doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't impact on the club or the country at all on how many spaces you've got. Ragul says we should lose Martial as a super sub. Well, he's got to get on the pitch first. Spurs are in the Europa League now too, says Jay. Yeah, whether they'll take it seriously or not depends on how well they're doing in the league. Red in the bed says Hull's time-wasting tactics stifled the game. If De Gea would have made the save that the Hull keeper did from Mata, we would be saying it was a world-class save. It was a good save. I've watched it back 3 times today, and I don't know how Mata doesn't score. It's a good save. The problem is, whilst it's a really good save, it's a terrible miss because he shoots at the keeper. He's got a whole goal to aim at. He should score, but Pogba should have scored. It wasn't as easy. But Pogba shot straight at the keeper again, straight at his hand. I mean, if you're going to shoot at the keeper, shoot at their legs. That's a lesson for anybody who's young or anyone who still plays football. If you're a forward, always shoot along the ground at the keeper's legs because it's the one thing that's moving. You need England to win Champions League and Europa League to take away 4th spot. I don't even think that's right. DM MUFC says the quiz was brilliant, great work. Thanks. Please do promote the quiz. like the quiz, let everyone know about the quiz, because on the United Stand, it's another fan content show. It's like Sky Goldbridge, where you come on. That's 3 people coming on, getting an opportunity on the channel. So I really, I think it's a great concept anyway. We really want it to grow, but it's another show where it's all of you lot. So we definitely want it. We want to keep it, and we want to keep doing it because we want you lot to come on and do it. Should we get rid of Schweinsteiger, says Perhash. No. Martial says, I think we should play with 2 strikers up front because Zlatan always comes down in midfield like you have one job, mate. Yeah, we do need to start pushing the opposition centre-backs further back. As I said at the start of the video, it was ridiculous last night how high the Hull City line was, back line at Old Trafford. I've never seen anything like it. And if I can see it and you can see it, Mourinho can see it, why he didn't do anything about it, I don't know. Because he won't take Zlatan off or play 2 up front. Rush Spirit says, Marcus, you love Rashford. Do you think we should play him and Zlatan as strikers in a 4-4-2? Yeah, I did say that, I think, 20 minutes ago, didn't I? Yeah, I would. Shaka Phillips, Mark, who would you sell? I think Rooney's got to go. I think Rooney's got to go. There's nobody else that really... Ashley Young, obviously. I'd get rid of one of the centre-backs so we can buy a centre-back. There's nobody that really massively jumps out at me, I must be honest. But Rooney, Young, and one of the centre-backs does. You might have to shout a name out to me. But Perhash says, what's the perfect formation for United? I think the formation we play at the moment's good. I just think the lack of... if you put Aubameyang up front, I think we'd be scoring all sorts of goals. Because not only is he powerful like Zlatan, but he's fast. And you could mix it up. You can hit the ball long if you want to. We can't do that with Zlatan because he's not going to be quicker than any centre-back. Stubborn Mourinho says football's best friend. We're gonna see how stubborn Jose Mourinho is in the next 3 months, because if he persists with what he's been doing the last 6 months, with continually playing Zlatan and Pogba for 90 minutes, unless they suddenly start playing fantastic, which they aren't at the moment, then teams are going to read us. If he does stick with them, how does he solve it? You've got to play pace either side of Zlatan, so you've got to play Martial and play Lingard or Rashford on the right, and start getting them running from the flanks centrally and hitting balls over the top. You can do it. I'm not saying Zlatan needs to be dropped to make us fast up front. We did it against West Brom with Lingard in the first half. You've got to have quick wingers or quick wide men who make these runs where they start running towards Zlatan, Pogba or Carrick or Herrera chip one over the top, and as they're running towards Zlatan, they bomb forward. They've got to run on the centre-back. So it can be done. I don't know why we didn't do it yesterday. Mainly because... I don't know, we didn't start doing it till the second half because Mkhitaryan's quick and Rashford's lightning. So we could have made it work. It doesn't mean you have to drop Zlatan if he doesn't want to, but he's got to mix it up. The tactics are just too slow and stale, and we've seen that with Van Gaal. Oh, Darmian's another player I would sell. Shaka Phillips has said Jones, Fellaini. I don't think we'll sell Fellaini, and yesterday Ashley Young should not have been on the bench. If you'd had Fellaini on there, at least he's an option in the last 10 minutes, but I would sell Fellaini, of course I would. I don't really like that style of play, but it would have been a decent option last night. We have to play with an attacking formation with 3 defenders and 2 strikers against Hull, Burnley, Sunderland, because they always park the bus, says Marshall. I heard a few people saying that today, and I do agree with you. I think we do. You've got to go for it. I think we Hull hit the inside of the post in the last few minutes. If that goes in, we weren't going to equalise, and we lose. And to be honest, the draw was a loss anyway, and everyone feels like that. But I don't feel as bad as I did last night. I still feel very disappointed and shocked, but the Leicester game is massive now. We've got to win that. I think if we draw again, that'll be 4 games in a row. Let's not forget, we haven't won since Borough, which was... No, sorry, West Ham away we won, didn't we? We beat West Ham away. And I don't think we played particularly well in that, even though we won 2-0. Remember, they were down to 10 men, undeservedly, after 10 minutes, and De Gea made 2 fantastic saves, one from Antonio. And we laboured to that result. It was only Rashford coming on and changing the game, like I think a Martial would have done last night. It feels like I've got Jose's arm on my shoulder, look. Please drop us a like on the video. Remember, this is the Mark Goldbridge channel, so please subscribe. This is not the United Stand, so subscribe to the channel. I'm going to do at least one of these a week, and I will get a FIFA video done as well. But I like these shows because there's a lot of you on the live comments, but there's not as many as we get on a United Stand show, so it's good to be able to really interact with the live comments. It's a must-win for Leicester as well, says Football Skills HD. Inter Milan signed Manolas, says Paul Jones. Let's have a look if they did. disappointed because he is the sort of player I like, but we did hear he was going to Inter Milan. Express was saying that he's agreed personal terms with Arsenal. Inter are after well, it's saying that he's signed a deal here. Roma defender has agreed a 5-year contract worth 4.5 million a season. And Arsenal are saying it as well. Messi Minutes is saying it. Well, you know, I'm disappointed. Just because I think he's the right player doesn't mean that Manchester United were ever in for him. And there are other good centre-backs out there. But what I like about Manolas and what United are lacking is somebody who's dominant in the air, not only in our box, but in the opposition box from corners. And he's fantastic in the air. So, yeah, it is a little bit disappointing, but, you know, who knows. Shaka Phillips wants me to do another Star Wars video. Happy Rick Shiad say so. If we lose or draw against Leicester, forget top 4. It won't still be done because we're still only in February, but I would agree with you in the sense that, I mean, City winning... the thing is, we might only be so many points off top 4, like 4 points off top 4 at the moment. But the problem is, there's 5 points ahead of it, 5 teams ahead of us. And City look like they're going to go through a good run of form now. So you could say that City are going to finish in the top 4. Chelsea obviously are going to finish in the top 4. And Spurs look good. And Liverpool have got nothing apart from the league to focus on. So you'd think they're good favourites to play in the top 4. Arsenal always finish in the top 4. So at the moment, we are in the position where we're not in the top 4. And we look the least likely to get top 4. We can get it though. We can get it. And somebody else is going to be disappointed. Somebody's going to be really disappointed because they're not going to be in the top 4 out of, if we don't make it, well, one of Spurs, Arsenal, City or Liverpool aren't going to make it. So, but we've got to do far, far better than we are. Right, thanks everybody for watching. Really enjoyed it. Do drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the Mark Goldbridge channel because you'll get notified every time we go live. I'm back on the United stand tomorrow night at 8:30 with our Leicester v Manchester United preview. We've got some other videos coming up for you over the weekend, but I really enjoyed that. I felt like having a little bit of a chat about United tonight anyway, so thanks for all of you who joined me. And if you've not seen this quiz on the United Stand channel, pop over there. 2 outlets, and I'm glad you're all getting involved with it. Really enjoyed it, and I shall speak to you tomorrow night. But thanks everyone for joining me on here and supporting this channel as well. I'll see you all very soon. Don't forget to subscribe and like.